Okay, so my name is Amy Lambert. I'm the Executive Director for the Illinois Small Business Development Center at the Starved Rock Country Alliance. And I'm really excited today about talking about assisting creatives. Really want to make sure that we plant the understanding and the mindset that the arts is a business, and the arts as a business takes a big role in your local economies. I do want to bring your attention to the little R over there. I'm going to say a bad word during this presentation, and I just want you ready for it. So, because it's in one of the titles, and I'm not changing the title because I think it's that important. So here we go. Assisting creatives. My name is Amy Lambert. So my first question, and seriously, I do want to see some participation during this next few minutes. Give me some idea, even if you want to pop it in the chat or yell it out. So this is one of the first things that I do when I'm sitting with artists, that they're coming in and they're asking me is, I don't know how to price my work. So we talk about, we talk about what it is that is encompassed in their work, and this decision of how to show their work, and making sure that when they do, that they're paying just as much of attention to how their pieces are framed and lit as the information that's in that card right beside it. So when you go to an art gallery, one of the things you're going to see is the note card next to it. The work name, the year it was created, the artist name, what type of media they used, and most of the time you're going to see a price. And that's usually where they get stuck. But quite often when they're going and they're doing gallery shows, when they arrive to that gallery, they're not bringing those cards with them. And that's one of the very first things that you need to start with, is how do you show your work? When you show your work, what are you showing beside it to help people take you seriously and authentically as an artist? So my question to you is, here's this painting. How do you price it? I can't see your faces. There we go. So give me some ideas in the chat. Just throw it out. What would that painting be worth to you? Would you buy it? Now, the second question is, what do we normally do when we're talking to artists? Well, they're thinking about their materials that went into it. They're thinking about their time. They're thinking about the expertise. But they're not so much thinking about, also based on reputation. I'm looking at the chat box now. Their education. What are they bringing? What has gone into creating that piece? But the next question here is, well, the green matches my couch. How much is that person going to pay for it now? Who is the market? How does the market determine value? Excellent questions. Keep going. That green is Pantone color of the year. How much is the painting worth now? I see passion in this painting. I see violence in this painting. It makes me feel like the city has come alive. How much is the painting worth now? Now we put it in a gallery. We put it in a gallery in Princeton, Illinois. How much is the painting worth now? We put it in a gallery in New York City, in Manhattan. How much is the painting worth now? The price is subjective. The price is what that conveys. Who is the buyer? Who is the market? What is the heritage? Cheryl says it's very personal and you need to know your audience. She's absolutely right. Commission. Are your artists understanding how the commission is calculated? That's one thing that blows my mind when I sit down with artists and they have their artists in different, or their art in different galleries, but not one of them can tell me what the commission structure is. Excellent. Thank you, Doug. Doug shared in the comments a link to Adam Davidson's book, The Passion Economy. Excellent. Thank you for that. So what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this sketch of this little fox? What is that worth? What's it worth now? How much is it worth now? When you're working with artists and creatives, you are working at a level that can go from your local art fair to the big screen. You are working with the potential of what that artist creative can produce. So let's talk about different ways of working and the different things that I've learned over the time period that I've been working with creatives and artists. So entrepreneurs and artists, are they the same thing? I want to say that they're very, very similar. They both have great intuition. They carve out their own niche. Imagination is the key to solve their problems and overcome their challenges. Neither of these types of people see a box. They're wanting to create something with the box and create something new. They're not into copying others. Entrepreneurs and artists can both become obsessed, and getting lost in their obsession is good. In order for entrepreneurs and artists to succeed, they must ship. They must produce. Getting to market is the key to their survival. They have to be in this build it, ship it mode. Testing it is something brand new to them. Finding their market, finding their people. Again, that's where you're coming in to help them. They can't be perfectionists. They've got to produce with speed. They need to get attention to succeed. Of course, I will be sharing this deck. They have to produce in quantity to discover quality. There was a great study done of art teachers do this all the time, where they divide their class in half, and half of the class have to produce 100 drawings, 100 sketches, 100 photographs, and the other half have to produce one. Which gets more out of the class? Which does better? The people who can continually produce and produce and produce, or the people who continually obsess over making sure that they are building the best? They need to get attention to succeed. Artists need attention. I didn't see who it was, but somebody said, can they tape a banana to their artwork? You know, that's going to work once, twice, but getting attention is the key to success oftentimes. They have to develop purpose, something compelling that others want to purchase. They've got to be able to instill that in their community of buyers. And sometimes they have to delegate to succeed because they simply can't do it all. First question, do you have any grants for artists? Isn't this always the very, very first thing that you see? Well, grants usually for artists usually come from private foundations or from governmental agencies. These are direct grants. They can be from contracted organizations who function as a gateway for other governmental funding. This is indirect re-granting. We see this quite a bit where there's a particular fund that will come in and they will work with the community fund locally, for instance. And that community fund then takes in the grant applicants and re-grants that money out. There's usually more indirect support available for artists than direct grants. So that's the first thing to know. So how do artists make money? So here's a list: art sales, commissions, performance contracts, recording contracts, residencies. Residencies is where they are offered a place to live and maybe a stipend for food in order to give them to open up their budget for more product and more time to create those products. Internships where they can come in and learn while they are creating. There's professional development programs, in-kind support, grants, foundations, institutes have funding. Corporations will hire artists. There's contributions that can be made, monetary awards, fellowships. They get into teaching, they get into online platforms, and then there is a ton of innovation to come. It's all about thinking about how do people want to spend money on art? How does art become tangible to them? How does art become valuable to them? And we're in such a weird time frame right now because we have the non-fungible tokens that have come to the surface in the last 2 years, where you see a lot of art, digital art, now taking precedence in becoming these keys. And we've also seen at the same time, we've seen the monetary value become or monetary levels become shaky, but art seems to be something that's being invested in right now, a permanent art. So it's a weird and very interesting time for artists to make money because people are looking for it. So finding funding. What do I normally tell my artists about finding funding? There's not really shortcuts, not really. The best resources are going to be specific to them as artists, their location, the medium they work in, the methods that they use, the messages that their work conveys, the characters, the topics. What is it, the mantras that artist brings to the surface in their work? I would dedicate a few hours to research at least every 2 months. I would create and I do this a lot. I talk about this a lot with clients, is creating some specific emails so that they can sort out emails as they get them to go to different places. One of the things I say normally to everyone is to create a history at whatever your URL is.com. And whenever they have milestones, send that email to their history at yoururl.com. But with artists, it's really about new art opportunities. They want to set up a specific email so that all of those emails come in to that email and they're not overwhelmed with them. But they want to sign up for every single artist resource newsletter there is and be checking it. Create a Google alert for potential grants. This is something I usually have to walk them through, but once they get the idea because grants come up pretty yearly. They're pretty much if it's a specific grant, it's going to happen the same time every year. So I have them start a binder and a calendar of grant opportunities and have those organized by submission date and the proposal format, so that they know that every May they can expect this grant to come out and what they need to have ready for that. There's really no one-stop shops. Normally when I'm presenting this, I usually get some boos at this moment. So then I say, yeah, but seriously, that's it? Okay, fine, here's some good ones. So here's a listing of 7 really good sites that kind of bring all of the grants together. And you can usually find all of the different opportunities within these links. Some of them are organizations, a couple of them are people, but this will give you some good information as far as where to find grants for creatives. The realist viewpoint. I'm just going to read this. I think we need to dispel the myth of the financially comfortable artist. Most of the prominent and successful artists I know teach, they have day jobs, they have some other source of income. There's only a rare few that live off their art alone. It's important to understand that. Anything less sets you up for disappointment. And agree or disagree, this is the reality for most artists. They're normally doing something else along with their art. And it's getting them intrigued about different revenue streams as early as possible that help them to slowly over time be able to become that 100% artist down the road. Questions on this? And if you do, just throw them in the chat. You don't have to, and I would love it if you'd interrupt me, but if not, just throw them in the chat. So the top ways that we as SBDCs can help. Branding, help them to identify and energize their marketable signature style. As you look through their work, when you see things that kind of pop to you, point them out and make sure that they're using those items in their collateral. Make sure that they have them on their website. Make sure that they have some way that when people go in and look, that they have some way to buy it. That's one thing that I see all the time, that you'll have artists with their Facebook page and art on their Facebook page or on their website, but nowhere does it give any information on how to actually buy that piece of art. Next, marketing. Help them to define and understand their audience, and help them to understand where that audience actually goes to buy. So as they're looking at different shows, that they can go through and kind of look back at different years and see what the turnouts were and what other people were at those shows and get their feedback. Pricing. Help them to identify their value alongside their costs. And then also I do some classes on more so in their one-on-ones, is that we'll do role plays on negotiation. Eric says exactly, and you don't make it difficult to buy. You want to make that buying process as easy as possible. And that's one thing that really it always blows my mind, is that people sell things, they're on Facebook, but they have no idea of how to marry the two. So, and Facebook right now has free shops that you can set up so that you actually can have a free shop within Facebook. It's not difficult, but it is something that they have to take time to do and really it normally needs to be brought to their attention, because often they simply don't know that it's there and it's an opportunity. Record keeping. Help them to build a process to understand the type of service provider that they need to seek out. Networking. Gear them to the opportunities to be business professionals. And I'm going to put this: hold special events featuring creative businesses, or invite them to be your wingman at after hours. I do this all the time, especially with young artists or people that are just now coming out into the community and they need to kind of build that network. If I have to go to an after hours, I am not going alone. I will invite 2 or 3 people to go to that networking event with me, because it's so much easier to introduce someone else than to continually try to introduce yourself to new people. And it gets them in some practice in doing networking from an artist's point of view. But you want to give them and model those opportunities that, yes, they are wanted there. They are definitely wanted at after hours. We want to see artists in the community at different business functions, because art is a business. And I think that's one thing that I really hold up and wave like a flag, because I am a creative. I've spent my whole life being told that art isn't a business and that creativity isn't a business. It's a business. But oftentimes we are the same people who are waving the flag are also the ones who are dragging it. And because of that, I tend to be very, very vocal about arts as a business and arts as with its role within communities. It is a talent magnet. It is a tourism and traffic magnet. It does have economic impact. So the best thing that we can do as SBDCs is to treat it as a part of the economy. Treat artists as professionals. Mindset, affirm that art is a business and arts are business people. It's one of the things that Susan spoke about today, is that oftentimes when they come in, they'll say, well, I'm an artist. Arts is a business. You are a business person. You have to keep that in your mind. Connect them. Help them understand the 5 people in the room. When I meet with clients, they get 2 lectures at the beginning of of their first session. What does the SBDC do? No cost, confidential, one-on-one. And the 5 people that they need in the room to grow and protect their business: attorney, accountant, insurance, banker, business advisor. May not need them all right now, but as their business grows, they're important to have on their journey. So identify them early. And if they ask either of the following questions, when do I need to set up a business structure? Or when do you know that you need an attorney? Then they need the talk. Okay, what's the talk? Do you have a hobby or do you have a business? That's the first talk. What's the difference? Mindset. With a business, you have a profit motive. You are there to make money. If it's a hobby, it's not your main goal. You got other things going on. Maybe it's your friends. Maybe it's just how you express yourself. A business requires effort and income. You invest significant personal time and effort into this business, and you depend upon the income that comes in. Do you have reasonable expenses? Your expenses are ordinary and necessary to run your business. Do you have the background? Do you have a track record in the industry or a history of making profits? Do you have customers? Do you have people that own more than one piece of your art? Are you a professional? Do you keep professional records? Do you have a separate checkbook? Do you have a balance sheet? Do you have business cards, stationery, a branded business website? Because that is what business has. That's what business needs. It's what a working business professional artist, professional creative needs as square one. Otherwise, it's a hobby, and we're not the small hobby development center. So you have to have the talk, because you are there to develop them when they are ready to become a business, not as they go through their hobby. Do I need an attorney? This is talk part 2. Do I need to set up a business structure? If they're asking that question, then they need it. And the reason why is because as a creative, as an artist, every minute that I do not have an attorney or a business structure, I am not treating myself like a professional artist. I am keeping myself in a hobby. So I always tell them, if the minute that they say they're a professional artist, then they need to treat their business like it's a professional business. And at that point, I explain the different business structures and how they would choose, and then have them go talk with professionals about which one is right for them. But the biggest issue is always going to be the barrier and the mindset of, do I need it? Yes, you need it. but choose which one. And you're not married to it. You're not married to a sole proprietorship. You're not married to an LLC. You're not married to, but you have to set up a business. Even if it's your name, you have to commit to that. You need a checking account. You need to move forward as a business so that you treat yourself and you position yourself as a business. Okay, extra credit, YouTube. There's a great video called Fuck You, Pay Me by Mike Monteiro. Phenomenal, from Creative Mornings in San Francisco. Highly, highly, highly recommend, but it gets them in the understanding that they are not for free. That you just, as an artist, we get that question. Can you do this? Can you do this? Oh, you'll get exposure. No, pay me. So the first thing that nobody wants to talk about is the 5 C's. So we all know what the 5 C's are: capacity, collateral, character, credit, conditions. So these are what help. No, Eric says nobody can pay rent with exposure. He's absolutely right. Pay me. So 5 C's. Nobody wants to talk about these, but this is what you need to get funding as a loan, as a business loan. We all know the 5 C's. We deal with them every day in our lives. But with artists, we're a little different. 5 C's of successful artists are commitment, a commitment to their art and a commitment to their profession. It's being consistent with their art, with what they're creating and being a creative. It's being consistent in their public appearances. It's being consistent in coming out and being a part of their community. It's about collaboration. It's about not shutting themselves into a corner and instead being able to come out and meet and work with and promote and amplify by working with others. And those others don't have to be other artists. They could be writers, they could be business people, they could be nonprofit organizations, but to collaborate is one of the 5 C's of a successful artist. Craftsmanship is an important piece of what they produce every day. That the better their craftsmanship gets, the better their business becomes. And cultivation. Cultivation is, you can think about that from their works, but really it's a cultivation of their reach and their ability to connect with the people who love, buy, and support their work. It's cultivating their place in the community. It's cultivating their relationship with their buyers and their place in the market. It's cultivating their brand. It's cultivating how people view them as an artist and their work. The next thing no one wants to talk about is numbers. These numbers do not measure success. How many likes you have, how many followers you have, how many subscribers, video views, even your revenue doesn't measure your success. These are vanity numbers. These numbers get you into a comparison trap. They get you focused on popularity versus profitability. You can feel like you're working harder and harder, but you're not really getting anywhere. So you just end up feeling tired and overworked. In social media, we all know the negatives of social media. Well, amplify it and put like the exponent up there when you're dealing with creatives. Because though any type of issue where there's that feelings of failure, deep anxiety, and depression, if you put those and you shake them in a jar with creatives, nothing comes out. Except your Picasso blue period, maybe. But you want to keep them focused on numbers that do help them. These do measure your success: profit, repeat customers, customer referrals, social media engagements, comments, direct messages, click-through rates, membership churn rates, number of people who finish their class, and the number of times that they show up in their community. Because often we say, maybe I'll be there. Click, maybe. It's how many times they showed up. Because oftentimes that's all they need to do is show up, and that amplifies and raises up their presence enough so people start to buy them. The 80-20 rule. How many have heard of the 80-20 rule? 80-20 rule. 20% of your efforts, products, or your customers should produce 80% of your results and profit. This does not go unnoticed in creatives and arts. Because once you find a buyer who really, really loves your work, they're going to buy a lot of your work. If you really want to be successful in artists, here's some things to think about. People don't buy the thing, they buy the brand. Artists don't get paid what they are worth. They get paid what they negotiate. That number that you put on the side of your painting of how much it is, never take that number down. Never undercut your work. And I say this all the time for any of my clients will tell you that they hear that me say this all the time. And that is, if you price your work on value, you're always going to be going up. You're always going to be making more. If you price based on cost so that you can be the cheapest or less expensive, it's going to be a race to the bottom. Marty says you aren't running a yard sale. She's nailed it. You aren't running a yard sale. The art business is built on relationships. You can sour yourself as an artist, just the way that you can sour yourself in the eyes of the bank. That character matters. Character matters as an artist too. The arts business is built on relationships. It's built on the number of gallery owners you meet. It's built on the number of shows you attend. It's built on you buying a small piece of art from someone else and adding to your collection. If people don't have to pay, they won't. They won't. If you don't charge people, they aren't going to pay you. You have to get them to the mindset of Mike Montiero. Pay me. You've got to get them in that mindset. I can't tell you the number of people that I simply wouldn't charge in the very, very beginning of my career. And it wasn't because I didn't want to. It wasn't because I didn't know how to value my work. I couldn't figure out how to put a value on something that literally took me zero effort to get out, yet meant everything to me. How do you put a value on something like that? You have to, and you have to. So again, when I'm meeting with, we're doing a lot of role playing. We're spending and getting these questions out of them sometimes takes the role playing of what do they actually do in these situations. Consistency beats talent. If you are consistently showing up to do this, and this, you can beat out talent because they're simply not there. Get comfortable with no. But more so, learn how to make no valuable. A friend of mine posted today that whenever he receives a rejection, he looks for 2 R's. And those 2 R's were a referral, and the other one was a referral and something to do with an opportunity where he could find what it is that he's looking for. Can't remember the R word, but it was a referral in R. And then another person mentioned today to me that they keep a notebook, and every time that they are in a moment where they feel uncomfortable, then they write it down. Request, there you go, resource. Resource is the one. Thank you, Brenda. A referral and a resource of where they might find it. Thank you so much for your R words. But the other one was that he would write down every time I think that was our speaker at noon today, wasn't it? That he would write down every moment where he felt uncomfortable. Those are the only times you get to grow. Getting comfortable with no. I love no. To me, no is like being set free to not have to carry anything else. No's become big time valuable to me. Get comfortable with no. Sometimes artists need a business partner. Sometimes they absolutely do. I am a big proponent of telling artists that if you cannot keep your books, go find someone who's going to keep your books for you, because you're showing me production. You're showing me that you have the art down. You're showing me that you can create. But what I'm not seeing from you is an ability to be disciplined, an ability to, and sometimes that's just not going to exist in them. And all we have to say is, okay, but who is going to do it? How are you going to get it done? Because it still needs to be done. 5 people in the room, in addition to you, go find them. Nobody gets it right their first time. Show me one. I would love to meet them if they got it right their first time. Relax. Your peers are not as successful as their social media makes them look. And this is something that is real. I mean, we see it in ourselves. We see it in so many social media reports. But again, creatives take things a little harder and a little bit different. That for them, the frame really matters. So give that to them. Make sure that you're checking in with them as to where their social media is and the realistic places that people are. Check in with your audience. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. We've all seen people crash and burn on social media. Just because you can doesn't mean you should post it. Dress for success. This doesn't necessarily mean the button-down suit. It means comfortable and confident. That's your most important piece when you're a creative, is being comfortable and confident. If you can pull both of those off, wear it. People who tell you that you can't often couldn't themselves. And we're in a weird time. And we've been kind of in a really cool time since about 2009. In 2009 was when I stepped back from my corporate job and said, technology's changing. Technology is this amazing tool. And right now, there is a huge opportunity for creatives and artists. And I went out and found them and said, look, you can build things on Facebook to sell your art. You can put events out on Facebook to bring your community together. You can have Third Thursdays, put them on Facebook. Everyone will come. You can start selling your products on Etsy. And now you've not only sold your products, you're growing a business where they're making parts so that you can sell more products on Etsy. There was just an amazing tool set that popped up that made it possible for our independent creatives to be successful. So the world is changing, and some of those people who couldn't because of the world, but more often it's because they were raised in a in a ecosystem that said you'll never be able to support yourself and a family as an artist. And they will be very vocal because they never got to do it themselves. So don't be that person. If you want to become one of the best, you have to find your community. You have to build your community. And again, right now it's pretty cool because you can go and find them and they don't have to be in Illinois. They can be anywhere. Your weird art can find its audience. It's just a matter of understanding what those people are searching for. What music are they listening to? What messages are important to them? Where are they buying things? Getting in and understanding technology is about in leveraging it to find the people who would buy their art. It's one of the best times to be able to do that. It's not, today's world is not about how much you make. It's about how much you save. It's about how much you can produce. If you want to grow faster as an artist, practice in public. And this is a big one. If you want to grow faster, then get out of your studio. Get out of your home studio and get yourself into a public studio, a co-working space, a co-creating space, a maker space, all of those different collaborative art community, all of those. And if you can't find them, go figure out how to build them. It's not hard. And nobody cares that you tried. Nobody cares that we tried that 8 years ago. The world was different 8 years ago. It's better to do one thing extraordinarily well than 5 things somewhat well. This is something that I know that impacted me, is that I'm all over the board. To focus in on doing one medium, like Susan today, her mural is her medium. She does it extraordinarily well. Does she do other things? Absolutely. She's doing sand casting on the art farm. She's doing glass on the art farm, but her extraordinary talent is mosaic. And she has built an entire career now over doing that one thing extraordinarily well. Put as much work into your work's presentation as you put into the work itself. This goes back to the very, very first slide when you're talking about the pieces of paper next to your artwork. Put as much work into the presentation. And I have clients that do this when they won't start a piece until they have the frame and it's the right frame. They know what it's going to be, but they want to make sure that they have all of the presentation pieces together because they understand what they want, not only what the piece to look like, but they know what they want the experience of seeing it to be. Okay, back to business. What does IBIS say? I miss IBIS. I miss IBIS. All right, IBIS, what does IBIS say? So IBIS says that there is 938,000 artists and creatives. And of that level, 17.1 billion in wages. The profit margin is about 9%. So let's do the math. I love the math. $17 billion divided by 938,000 people is an income level of $18,230.33, which says to me, you're going to have to be doing something else in addition to being an artist. So there's your IBIS report. The key external drivers, federal funding for creative arts, and you can see that what this is looking like. This was from January of 2021. So we see some leveling off. 2020 was an awful year for artists. So many creative ways we found for them to make money. 22, we're seeing a bump up, and we're going to see some fall from that over the next 3 years. What does IESBGA say are your key success factors? The ability to attract local support and patronage. High level of local support will attract private sector sponsors and public sector donations. Having a high profile in the market. A high profile attracts media interest in the output of an artist, writer, or performer, which can raise demand for his or her work. Effective product promotion. An independent operator in the performing arts must publicize their productions to win performance opportunities and raise public and media interest. So public promotion or product promotion. The ability to raise revenue from additional sources. Industry enterprises may require additional revenue through merchandise sales and non-traditional means such as crowdsourcing. Accessibility to consumers and users. Companies may choose to tour various locations to reach customers from various geographic areas. A strong internet presence enables artists to reach a wider audience. And lastly, having key contacts within key markets. Performers and creative artists rely heavily on industry contacts to book venues, obtain contracts, and market their products. So those are the key success factors for businesses. So as the SBDC, these are our common, this is my common last slide. So these are the things that you can count on us to help you with. But when it comes to creatives, this is kind of my soft spot. So if you would like to take a moment and jump into either chat or open up, I would love to hear your feedback and different ways of things that you are sharing with artists and creatives in your community.
Hi, Amy, it's Marty.
Hi, Marty.
Of course, I have a lot to say. Sorry, because
I'm
in this creative space too. I work with a big group of textile artists in the St. Louis area because I have a degree in textiles. And I'm also all over the map, Amy, so I got you. We need to be friends. One of the things I have found, I am a weaver, and I have belonged to this group, and they have one annual sale a year, one sale a year. We have 40 artists. It's not a craft show. It's a boutique setup. And it's been really interesting to me over the years because there's a lot of collaboration that happens within this group. And we've had people who come in, I've gotten to watch them grow over a 30-year period. And then sometimes they outgrow us and sometimes they come back. But almost all of those who have been very successful are people who not only create, but they also teach about what they create. And they're not so protective of their process that they don't share it. I'm thinking of one person in particular, her extra things she does. She took a job teaching English as a second language in Japan. She does shibori, which if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's a folding, clamping, and dyeing technique. It's Japanese tie-dye, but tie-dye is sort of an understatement. But she went to Japan to teach English and was in a university setting there. And they said, you know, we don't use this room anymore. If you'd like to come in here, you can use anything you want. And they took her into their dye studio with cabinets full of dyes, opportunities. Her thing has been watch for opportunity. And then she ended up teaching Japanese students about Japanese dyeing techniques. And from there, she found an opportunity to go to Paris and work with some of the fashion houses to sell her work. This is a lady who lives up on a little hill in central Missouri in a converted travel trailer and didn't really even have running water for a while. But she teaches all over the world. She makes beautiful things, and we've gotten to watch her grow. And she's also a caring, giving, sharing person. And my experience has been that for the most part, creatives are all of those things. But she is successful because she has taken advantage of opportunities. And I think the commitment, consistency, collaboration, and craftsmanship are all really good, but cultivating those partnerships in your community is even more important, and taking advantage of opportunities. My favorite question is what if? A lot of people find that scary, but that what if we did this? What if we did that? Most of the shows that people go into are juried shows. So you've got to be willing to not get into a juried show and keep trying. That national recognition comes from going from a little show in St. Louis to being at the Smithsonian show in Washington every year. You know, it's wonderful to sit on the sidelines and watch some of those people do that. But sorry, I've hijacked your presentation, Amy. I apologize.
Keep going. Tell me more.
Yeah.
No, you're actually phenomenal. That's wonderful. I'm so glad that you're sharing.
My part of the sale every year is that my ex-husband and I wrote the software that they use to sell their items. So they send me their inventory. All 40 artists send me their inventory in an Excel spreadsheet. I transmit it, or I upload it into this piece of software, and we print barcoded hang tags for every item in the sale. And we have one checkout with a barcode scanner that gets everybody checked out and handles our inventory. And we give them feedback at the end of the sale that includes pricing information, how many things in each category sold, what the high, median, and low prices are. I mean, it's been a really good opportunity. And now I'm bringing my daughter in to be my replacement when I decide I'm tired of doing it. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff you can do, and creativity doesn't have to be limited. But yeah, sorry. Go for it.
No. Thank you. I'm absolutely thrilled. Who has something else to share?
Amy, I'm sorry. Can I throw one more thing in?
Can.
The pricing piece and
Yes.
the commitment part of it is also, and this is for any business, not just creatives, educating your market on what's involved in what they're looking at. Because people don't know with a piece of art what went into it, what materials, what the history of the technique is, how much time is involved, all of those things. And educating the consumer on what it is they see builds that relationship. And people come back every year looking for particular artists at our sale. So you'll get a following that way. They get a following. Okay, I'll stop now.
No, that's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that, Marty. I should take a minute, and please, if you want to share, please pop up. Please pop up now. There are some online tools that I do point people to. Of course, you have your Etsy. Of course, you have Facebook shops, Wix shops. Shopify is doing absolutely phenomenal work right now in expanding their retail tools. They're even building apps as part of the Shopify platform, software as a service. Also, there are things like Patreon. Patreon is something where, especially if you have creatives that are producing new work all of the time on continually, then Patreon may be something that they may want to look at. Patreon is about having patrons who collect and want to be up to date on you as a creative and kind of want to invest small amounts just to kind of keep up with you. Other things I'm seeing is Contribute To is a new funding mechanism that I've seen artists and creatives kind of go over and look at right now. There are more galleries that are now doing online shows. So that is something that you can reach out to as far as doing gallery contacts. What else? Okay. Well, with that, I am going to, Brittany, is there anything else that I need to do from your point of order?
No, we're good, Amy.
Okay. Well, with that, then I'm going to say, have a lovely Thursday night. Don't forget to check email in case anything came in. But have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful time. I'm so glad that you're getting to be part of IESBGA in 2022. And I'm very honored to have been asked to present on this topic. It means a great deal to me. Have a great night. Out.
Awesome.
Thanks,
again,
Amy.
Amy.
Great job.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Amy.